Hey folks, welcome back to the shed on this rather brisk Sunday. Um, yeah, not very nice today, bit overcast, um, quite chilly actually. In Fahrenheit, it says roughly 70 degrees, and that's not much. So today I'm running Old Mould, number 673. I believe that's North British, put in the coal train. And on the other side is a Class 37 special one with the Ruston engine in it, which I'll demonstrate this later. And I know this is rule one, but it's pulling some Midland mainline rolling stock, which is better suited to a high-speed train. But when I pulled the high-speed train, which is my father's, um, you can just see the very nose of it just out there a ways. It's an old Ringfield. Hello, Jackie. Nice to see you. Yeah, that's good. And yeah, it's got a dodgy old Ringfield motor, so I put a couple of fresh traction tyres on it. But it isn't very good. It couldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding. So I decided to get the Class 37 out, which, oh, there's Connie. Hello, Connie. Nice to see you. Um, I've got the noisy stuff out today. So as you can hear, there's a little chuffing locomotive coming around the layout, which is a North British J36, I think they call it. It's called the Mould. And there's Lee. Hello, Lee. Uh, yeah, this has got what's known as the Hornby TTS sound in it. It's called Twin Track Sound. It was like a budget version of DCC sound. And it's not brilliant, but it's not completely pants either. So you'll see that coming around here about now. Any second now. There it is. Diminutive, tiny little engine. Really nicely decorated by Hornby. They did do a bang up job on it. And pulling the coal train. And on the other side is a Class 37, which we affectionately call a, what do we call it? A tractor. Because that's the kind of noise it makes. And there's Dino. Hello, Dino. I'm good, thanks. I hope you're well. So I've got a Class 37. This one's a special because they did a bit of an experiment and they took the original English electric engine out of it and they put in a big Ruston engine, which had quite a lot of noise and grunt. And of course, as they do things in real life, so they do it in the models. So this one has got the appropriate sound chip in it to replicate that. Who knew? But it is a bit noisy, so I've left that off. Otherwise, it's doubtful you'd hear me. I can actually, shut that out. Hey, just like that. The wonders of digital command control. Oh, so yes, the jumper's back on. It's not cold, but it's enough to give you a chill if you're sitting in it too long. It's fairly bright. There's light cloud, but so it's bright, but there's a brisk wind blowing, and that cools everything down quite a lot. So there you go. Anyway, the beverage of choice today is a coffee. Now, being instant coffee, when you find things go wrong and you end up with what looks like a bunch of onions floating on the top of it. Yeah, I'm afraid. But that was 5 minutes ago. I must apologise for being late. because it's now about 1:15. Heaven knows what that time would be in America. It's got to be pretty early in the morning. Perhaps you can give us a heads up on how early in the morning that is, Connie. Yes, it is. Do you know it's a bit of a disappointment actually, because um, it was like a box set of high-speed train, but when I pulled it from my dad's house, um, and I opened it up and looked at it, it's an old, although it's quite nicely decorated in, I'll just drag it up here a bit, in Midland mainline colours. Uh, it's a Limby. It's a half, just after 8 a.m. I'm sorry for getting you up this early, Connie. I really am. Um, yes, it's got a Ringfield motor in it, so the drivetrain is pants. Um, it couldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding, and I did try it with the train, and it was struggling a bit, even with fresh traction tyres on it. So I decided to sideline that, and I got the Beast out instead. So to give you an idea of what the Beast sounds like, let me just go through. Right, here we go. There you go. How about a bit of flange squeal? Right, and if I up the speed a bit, you'll see what I mean about noise. I'll drop it back down again. It's noisy. Already awake. Kitties and birdies wanting their breakfast. Yes, yes, we have a doggy who seems to wake up at dawn, expecting to be let out to let nature take its course. And of course, after that creates such a gap in the body, I expect to eat as well. So breakfast is served. My poor wife. But there you go. Yeah. Anyway, right. So I'll dog that. Silence is golden. And if I go to the other one, which is this one, yeah, that's a little more nearer the volume that you'd expect. But I can always give you a bit more of a sound demo as we go along. Silence is golden. Yeah. Everything seems bright today. It's actually the cloud is breaking and it's actually brightening a little. Um, what was the news in railway terms this week? I believe it was Rails of Sheffield and Locomotion Models, which is the National Railway Museum, I believe, have announced that they're going to produce the prototype HST car. So this is the HST car. When they were working on um, the original one had a more blunt nose, but nobody's ever made it as a ready-to-run model that you can buy in the shops, and they are going to produce one. Bachmann are going to make it. Now, when we say Bachmann, this is not American Bachmann, which is a bit. This is the UK's version of Bachmann, which is top of the range and uh, financially it's also top of the range, if you see get my drift. So yes, it's going to be very much similar to this, but with the blunter nose and whatever features the model had. Probably there's Mr. Dodge, Anthony Dodge. Good morning. But just mentioning that they're going to make the prototype HST. There's a HST. I'm not running this one because it's got a Ringfield motor in it. It's terrible. It couldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding. But the original prototype of this looked very much similar, but it had a very blunt nose. It wasn't in the shape of a chisel. It was just like that, a little more steep. And they applied some, I don't know if they did it in a wind tunnel, but they applied some styling to the front, and this is what we ended up with. But the prototype, of which there were several cars, two cars, they've decided that they're going to make one, and Bachmann are going to make it, so it should be a nicely modelled and finished job with a decent motor, a 5-pole skew wound lap wound motor. It should all be good. That's been announced this week. It's going to be 199 quid for those that want it, and that's without sound. The original motor in it was made by Paxman rather than the later, I think they were MAN motors that they had. The original Paxman, known as Screamers, because they were supercharged rather than turbocharged, and the superchargers did scream a bit. But yeah, Paxman Valenta motors. There are still some out there with the original Paxman motors in, I believe. Yeah, sorry about the zit, but I don't know if I caught myself with a razor and it just flared up. I don't know. Occasionally you get these carbuncles. Sign of the medieval times, I suppose. Must be something I'm eating. Something's eaten me that disagreed with me. Yeah. So yes, I've got the Coltrane, and I've got a pseudo passenger lasher. It's a lasher. That's what it is. It's a Rule 1 lasher. This has never happened in Germany. Well, yeah, it probably does, but on private layouts and with no internet. But Anthony, I'm glad you enjoyed your holiday. Well deserved, because you obviously, in the lead up to it, you were working your socks off on the house, which is always, yeah, difficult, and that just heightens all the tension, and then it's nice to just relax. Drew Steele 69, the Rail Fanatic duo, rail fanning at Cook Road, train number 2. Looks good. I'll catch up with that later. Let's fly my chairman. Hello, Adam. Nice to see you. Oh, there's another one. Train number 3. I'll catch up with those later. Lord Peter Webster. Nice to see you. To see you. Nice. Yeah. So I'd say it was fairly pleasant today, but it's worth putting the jumper on because it's bright with the cloud, but not hot. So I'm not expecting to get a tanned forehead anytime soon. Let me just smooth down my one hair. Great. There's Andy T741. Hello. Rule 1 is the best rule ever invented. Yes, it is. You can run anything with anything at any location. We don't have to be, dare I say that word, prototypical. Yeah, prototype. Right, yeah. Right. Yeah, the rain's stopped playing the gardening today. Okay, as I'm not very fond of gardening, good. Never mind. Gardening there. Yeah, cut the grass. That's nice. Run away. Yeah, that's the thing to do. But right, let's adjust. Is there anything else on here? Ah, yeah, there is something I dug up. It's I'll show you the box for it. It's this, the Bud RDC locomotive, which I found. I was looking all over for it, in all the usual places. Hello, Charlie. In all the usual places I put everything, and I couldn't find it. I'm lifting boxes, I'm looking behind, looking over the top, looking round, looking under. Couldn't find it. It was in here. I've got a little shelf unit down here, and it was right at the back behind the wire and the solder reels, well disguised. And I've actually put it on the layout. It's just over here, so I'll just point you in the right direction. It's New York Central. You should just see it about there, over at the Traction Motor Depot, TMD, with Davy Crockett. That is a really eclectic view. When you look at the high-speed train power cars, of which this is one, I mean, they've done a really good job on the paintwork, but it's just that it was an ex-Lima machine which Hornby acquired, and they thought, oh, theirs is much better than ours, we'll use their body. But they didn't much uprate the motor in it. They just took the Lima ringfield out and put their ringfield in, which was shite. Yeah. Well, Connie's struck it lucky. Going to be mid-30s outside today. Good day to work on bench after chores. Oh no, it's on with the factor 50 and outside, Connie. Surely. Too unpredictable. Yes, that's one thing with our weather. It is unpredictable. Anyway, moving on. Right, so there's the two power cars, which constitute a high-speed train. In the middle there, in that gap in the middle, you would have your 9 coaches or whatever. Moving on over there, there is a Voith monster of a machine, which is a Euro. What is it? It's called a Voith Maxima. That's sitting in the shed, keeping the dust off. Just outside is what we call a Bobo. Yeah, it sounds a bit hillbilly cartoon, but it's a Metropolitan Railways. They used to use it on the underground, so it's got electric shoe pickup from direct current. Just over the back there, that old time Wild West one you see there is an old Triangle Davy Crockett, which I've been messing around with. And then just beyond that is the Bud DC rail car, RDC rail car, which I'm quite fond of because I like rail cars. And there's the gang over there just loafing around. This little contraption here, that little set of stairs, is for picking up a single line token. And of course, there's the block for changing all of the turnouts and things like that. With the rudimentary signal box on the other side, looking back towards the station. It's full of containers and stuff at the moment, and my cop bloper. Everything else is down by the turntable. You can't actually see the turntable because it's sitting behind that chair. So if I move myself down, there's the turntable. Another little signal box. And this machine here is a 4 CEP, which used to run on the southern area of Great Britain, south and southeast. They were in literally 4-car units. So that will be the motor coach. If you notice, it's got a representation of curtains, orange curtains on there, which is really good. It's a Bachmann model, of course, And that's the kind of detail you get in the Bachmann model. So we're looking back forward. It's a 4-coach set, and they used to do them in multiples of 4 coaches, a bit like the Dutch koploper. So there you go. What I'll do, there's the new signal I installed. Nice and bright. Yeah. Now that should work as L train comes around. So if I hang about, here she comes. I'll give you a close up. I'm running her nice and slowly. Steam engine shouldn't be rushed. There she goes. A venerable old timer. And you should see the signal change just as it passes the signal. About now. So it drops to red, which protects anything coming along behind. Then it will change to orange, double orange, and back to green. So if I just prop this on the track there, you should see both ways of the action. It's a little bit. That's better. There we are. Right. YouTube, watch Dave Swindon live in 30 minutes. Yes, what I'm going to do, in 30 minutes time, I will stop speaking to the world. I'll let Dave Swindon have a bash, because I wasn't even aware he was doing his stuff on a Sunday at 2 o'clock. Otherwise, I would have chopped it early. There's Kyle Stevens. Hello, Kyle. And there's Sean. Hello, Sean. Hey, big Sean. Right on. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll chop it at about 2 o'clock, and then we can pile over and watch Dave Swindon. Let me just check out what that said. I wasn't even aware that he was doing a thing. Yeah, Sexy Andy. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. Everybody have a laugh. What's the weather like where you are, Charlie? Canada's got to be pretty warm this time of year, I would have thought, or as warm as it gets. What ballast you got? Right, okay, it's let me take a look. Here we go. You can read that, Sean. I gather it's the right way round for you. Medium ballast, Woodland Scenics, buff. And it's a 57.7 cubic inches. And the number is B1380. There you go. You had heavy hailstorm. Crumbs, that means a big cumulonimbus. After 29 degrees morning, many flowers flattened. Post a video on my Facebook. Oh, I'm not on Facebook, but there you go. That's not a bad picture, actually. I think my trees outside could do with a bit of paint, Connie. So if you wouldn't mind, but you'll have to bring a bucket. There's another small shed that you can just see over there. That's just got little bits of garden furniture and a few like hand tools and things like that. Mowing parts and dog food. Oh dear. We'll be 24 today. Yes, it's not quite got that far with us. I'm afraid, Charlie. It's more like 18 to 20 centigrade. So you're looking at late 60s, early 70s Fahrenheit. So it's not really that good today. Have I got fine? Well, that medium stuff is pretty fine. Let me just take a look. Oh, I got fine. All I've got, Sean, is coarse and medium. I mean, the fine stuff I would imagine is good for the end scale. So if I were you, and knowing your penchant for end scale, I would go fine. I wonder if these are concurrent numbers. The medium is B1380. The coarse is B1387. I've no idea what the fine is, but if I was you, Sean, I'd go for the fine one. But this will give you a good idea of what the colour is. This stuff down here is the coarse, and that stuff just in there is the fine. So I used a mixture of both. Obviously, I wanted to use the coarse up, so I put that in the places, literally in the depths. But people tend to look at the rails more than the dips and things like that. So I went for the finer stuff, which is medium, just where the sleepers are. But for the dishes and things, I use the coarse. In your case, I'd recommend the fine. If you wanted to fill your dishes up, you could use the medium because that is actually quite fine. But there you go. I'd go for the fine if I were you. But that's the general colour. It's buff. I haven't treated any of that. That's just weathered naturally. Obviously, I'm in an outside shed, so I suppose it does get a little bit attacked by the damp. Hi, Andy. Oh, of all the people that would have a lack of typing skills, that would probably be me, Flymo. I don't think you're in that category. High speed, low drag, more like I would have said. Right, I'll give you a blast of sound as they come past. Um, Lord Peter Webster has uploaded his 250th video today. Oh, it only seems like yesterday. Right, here comes. I'll give that one whole spin round. I gather you can hear me okay. The touch typing is faded. It is a nice livery on the carriages, but it's just what we've put in them, which was a disappointment. The old Greenfield HFT, which is absolute rubbish. Just back from Llangollen. I hope I've pronounced that right. What's ordered? Will and Scenics does have ballast in fine. Yeah, they sure do. It's just that it will be overkill for this. Um, and 1080p is available. Oh, that's good. Okay. What loco on the inside, Luke? It is. Tell you what, let me grab the box. It's the Hornby J36 class called Maud. It's in North British Railway colours. So that's pre the Big Four. He's on a Class 31 in construction livery. Wow. That's good. Must admit, back in the day, when I was quite young, my brother-in-law, who was at the time a guard on British Railways, took me on a trip to Cambridge. And what he didn't tell me was that, so he handed me my ticket, and instead of heading for the coaches, we headed for the loco. And they plonked me in the second man seat, and I went from King's Cross to Cambridge on a Class 31 all the way. And I tell you, they earn their money, because that is the bumpiest, joggliest ride I've ever had. They had like a thick pedestal leather seat with a great big cushion built into it, and you needed it because you felt every rail joint all the way. They were really, really uncomfortable. I mean, and noisy. To do that for a living, they earn their money. Yeah, the noise was. Oh, I love the noise of a Class 31. To prove the point, I'll dig one out for next week, and we'll have a Class 31. In the meantime, I'll give you an idea of what the Maud sounds like. Here we go. I don't know what the Class 31s are called. 47s are Duffs, 50s are Hoovers. I'm not sure what the 31s are called. Flymo, I only ever knew them as Brush Type 2s back in the day, because obviously all their electrical equipment, all of their traction motors were by Brush. The engine was an English Electric, but I think all the rest of it was made by Brush. So it was called the Brush Type 2. But I don't know. If there's anybody else here who knows another nickname for the Class 31, I mean, I could run up to the house and ask Richard, but he would know. Or if he's watching in, perhaps he'd like to enter the chat. And there's a skinhead that's the one without the roller blinds, which was the head code. There was a head code on the Class 31 just over the driver's cab. And when they didn't have one, the early ones didn't have them, and they were called skinheads. Yeah, but the rest of them, which constitutes the class, of which there were what, 500? I'm not sure what they called just the normal Class 31s, which did have the head code over the driver's cab. Did they have a name? I don't know. That's an interesting question. That's that's novel to me, that one. Oh, a quarter scale Valentino Rossi bike build. Oh, great. Okay, Peter. Enjoy yourself. Thanks for coming. Toffee apples. Oh, okay. Yeah, everybody remember that. Toffee apples. I used to love the look of toffee apples, but when I tasted one, apart from the hard red bit on the outside, disgusting. Ah, it was like red sugar on the outside. It was nothing like toffee, but it was the bit on the inside which I found disgusting, which was what was left of the apple. That. Yeah, take it easy, Peter. Peter, that's very kind of you. Enjoy yourself with the Valentino Rossi bike build, and welcome back anytime. I'll catch you next week if I don't see you down the week in the chats, which is always a pleasure. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think I can speed up malt too fast because there are a few vagaries with the TTS sound that Hornby did in it. Uh, if you get over a certain speed level, it starts to jitter and play silly buggers, and the sound goes all over the place. So I don't think they set a maximum voltage on the chip, if indeed they could. Dundas Junction, that means James is here. Hello, James. Oh dear. Yeah, the quality of the apples varies in toffee apples. Yeah, I think we all like the candy coat. Yeah. The there is a footnote I'd like to add there. Where I grew up in London, the nearest market was called Chapel Market, and about a third of the way down there used to be a stall which sold apple fritters, and they were absolutely delicious. The smell would hit you, depending on which way the wind was blowing. Just as you turned into Chapel Market, although being a normal road, they didn't have to shut it because there were so many people there, you couldn't drive down it anyway. So for every day, I would imagine from 8 o'clock in the morning, forget it. It's all stalls either side of the road, and they had this apple fritter stall, and the smell would hit you halfway down the road, and when it did, you just think, "Oh, do with an apple fritter." The only thing I remember is they got radically expensive really fast, and I don't think the place even exists today. I'm going way back into the 70s for that one. But yeah, apple fritters. I used to crave them. One sniff of that was enough. But there you go. Right. Let's have some sound with old Mom. Here she comes. And just to prove that there is actually coal in the last wagons, you go. There's the coal. It's just that they didn't fill it up enough. What are they like, eh? Oh, here comes Blondie. Hello, Blondie. Hey, Blonde, look up. Hey, hey. our puppy is no longer a puppy. She's a great big doggy. Aren't you, old girl? Trouble is, she has a habit of nicking things and chewing jumpers and shoes and bodies and skin and everything else. So I have to sort of jump her onto the floor. I'm going to have to kick her out of the shed in a minute. That's it. I think she's got the message. And she's probably going to nick a bottle or something in there. If I know young Blondie. And she's got very sharp claws and even more teeth now. They're all saying, "Hello, Blondie. Can you speak?" I think she wants me to play, but it's not always easy when you're speaking to the world, is it? No. Yeah, she definitely wants to play. But like all dogs, they've got their nose into everything. What was that? What'd you do? What'd you do? Okay, she probably stuck her nose into something. Oh, she's nicked my rag. I had a little bit of rolled up paper, which I used for cleaning up the tip of the soldering iron. Well, she's just stolen that. Oh, you knew a baker, they got sugar, but Joe Public is on a ration. I'm not that old, mate. Anything for eating? What in here? No. Because if there was anything to eat in here, yeah, first of all, you get a wave of ants. It's that old mind up, man. First of all, you get a wave of ants, and then you get everything else from rodents breaking in. So I don't keep anything edible in here. Yeah, not the thing to do. But that doesn't stop Blondie looking for it. Like all doggies, they're opportunists. Um, and that's just the way it is. Coffee time. Cheers, everybody. Lovely. My cat carries a flick knife around with it, so I keep clear. Yes, I understand. Yeah, they've got very, very sharp claws. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah. I mean, we were rationed to a pound of sugar a week at one point, around the same time as the oil crisis, which was 1973, which I remember quite well. So I remember my mum saying, "I don't know how we're going to cope," but we did, and we got through it. Yeah, it was tough. People moan these days, but we always had clothes on our back, we had food in our stomachs, and we had a roof over our heads. And once you realise what was going on in the world, I mean, although I was a kid, I wasn't sitting there with my eyes shut. I knew who Harold Wilson was, I knew who Edward Heath was, and I knew the stupid stunts that politicians pull. Every time they do a budget, they'll give it to you with one hand and take it away with the other. So you're not actually getting ahead. It's just that they're trying to balance their books. Yeah. Yeah, we had some pretty good summers. And then, of course, we had 1976, which was an absolute stonking summer. I remember getting horribly sunburnt and peeling the skin right off. But yeah, I think a lot of the sun creams at the time were sort of arm solaire type of thing. Things like Skull. I'm not sure they did anything except colour your skin up a bit. Um, it was only a bit later on that skin cancer and melanoma became more identified. That I think the people who were making the sunscreens actually said, "Well, actually, we've got to put some decent gear in here now." What I'm doing when I bring the class 37 around again, I'll stop it and I'll let it go through its startup routine so you can actually hear that. And then I think after that we'll call it a day. Mick at Edgy Park. Hello, Mick. Sorry, mate, it's only coffee, but have a beer on me, will you? Yeah, it takes factor 50. You're right, Flymo. Um, yeah, kept indoors a lot. Crazy. But there you go. It was blooming hot. And it was like that day after day, clear blue sky, day after day for what, 2 months? 3 months? I can't remember. It's all a long time ago, Corona. Right, let's slow it down a bit. Here she comes. Loop in around the corner. And we'll stop her. That's on speed step 16, believe it or not. Going down to 8. Going down to 4. That's on speed step 4, 3, 2, 1. That's on speed step 1, and it is barely moving. This is the kind of thing that backmen are really good at. It's still moving, but it's just on speed step 1. Amazing stuff. Right. Right. This is what it sounds like when it stops. This is what it sounds like when it starts up. For months, not with a snow patch up there, show the melt to August. 110. Bloody hell. And 95-degree air temperatures. Through. Escaped to Canada in 1973. I don't blame you, mate. I've only been to Canada once. I loved it. Thought it was great. There we go. Right, so guys and girls, I'm gonna call it right there because I've just seen that Swindon Dave has just come online. Didn't hear it. Didn't hear it. What didn't you hear, Anthony? I shouldn't have any noise cancellation. Oh dear. I wonder if my noise cancellation has turned itself back on. Anyway, I'm going to call it there, and I'll do a few experiments on that. And I should be able to catch up with you pretty soon. I will watch this back, and I'll see if I've got noise cancellation come on. The diesel start up. Crumbs. It was right next to it. I stopped it right next to the camera. So I will look into this. Thank you, Connie. And Mick, 9 months in Libya. Oh, I bet that was hot. Anyway, thanks for coming, everybody. And I'll catch up with you soon. Cheers for now. TTFN.